مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى. يا ربي لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله، بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الله به الغمة وجاهد في سبيل ربه حتى أتاه اليقين. اللهم اجزيه عنا وعن والدينا وعن الإسلام والمسلمين خير ما جازيت به نبيا عن قومه ورسولا عن أمته. اللهم احنا على سنته وتوفنا على ملته وأوردنا حوضه واسقنا من يده الشريفة شربة هنيئة لا نظمأ بعدها أبدا. ثم أما بعد. The question of evil was a central subject for philosophers and theologians. Is man evil by nature or good by nature? What makes human beings commit these atrocities, torturing, killing, destroying others without even feeling guilty? And the reason why I want to talk about this subject is because watching multiple videos about a particular prison in Syria called Sibnaya, when people who were there, they came out and they told the world about the horrors that they went through, the kind of kind of torture, and how they have been humiliated and been starved. Some died out of starvation, humiliation. They're not allowed to pray or to read Quran. They just kill people, they hang them from their hands for days, and so many other horrors. And the question is, how could these prison guards actually practice this kind of torture and humiliation day in and day out, and they go back home and they live normal life? They don't feel guilty at all. The same question actually came after the defeat of the Nazis. These famous trials of the Nazis, the guards and the generals and the soldiers who have been torturing and burning people alive and killing them like insects. What causes a civilized, quote-unquote, highly educated people to commit these kind of crimes? I mean, if you see an animal suffering or being hit by a car and dying, it's bad enough. But killing people and torturing them and listening to their cries and just show no mercy to them, what makes human beings act so viciously? I won't say like animals, because animals kill to eat. But why a human being would do that to his fellow human, even to his enemies? As we all know in Islam, prisoners of war must eat the same food that we eat, and they dress the same clothes we dress, and they're not to be humiliated, and those who are wounded must receive medical treatment. That's the international law now, but Muhammad ﷺ legislated this way before that. Human beings, even criminals, even those who deserve to be executed, until this time execution happens, and before that they should get fair trial, and then executions happen. So what makes some people from all religions and from all cultural backgrounds don't find any problem torturing people, raping, humiliating people for years? So there are some theories address this question. Is man evil by nature or good by nature, or a mix of both? What makes people reach this level? One proposal or one answer to this is that man is evil by nature. And this is very much the Catholic belief. That's why the central theme in Christianity is guilt. If you are guilty, you are a sinner, you are born with a sin, and you inherited this original sin from your parents and your grandparents, Adam and Eve, and therefore you are a sinner, and someone has to pay the price for your sins. And we are the source of all disasters that happen on earth, earthquakes and hurricanes and all these things because of our sins. Every evil thing happening on earth is because of that. That's the more of a Catholic view of the nature of man. By nature, or born as sinners, sin is very much part of who we are. And remember when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the angels that He will create a human being? Allah said, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. I'm creating a successor authority, or successive authority on earth. They said, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاء. Would you place on earth the one who will cause corruption and bloodshed? And the question, how did they know? And this is the only thing, the only description the angels had for this human being, that he will be the authority on earth. And this opinion also is supported by what we see now. What we see. The world is full of evil, harming, and paying no attention to the human dignity. Al-Mutanabbi, one of the most famous Arabic poets, said in one of his poets, وَالظُّلْمُ مِنْ شِيَمِ النُّفُوسِ. Dhulm, transgression, is natural in everybody. وَالظُّلْمُ مِنْ شِيَمِ النُّفُوسِ فَإِنْ تَجِدْ ذَا عِفَّةٍ فَلِعِلَّةٍ لَا يَظْلِمُهُ. If someone does not oppress others, there's a reason for that. And that's the exception. And many other philosophers and poets actually address this part, that we are evil by nature, predators. The opposite of this is that no, it is man is good by nature. Evil is the exception, and they argue that the spirit is pure, but the body is the source of evil. The desires of the body are the source of all evil. So man is good by nature, but some other external factors that makes him bad. And in between, there is a third suggestion or philosophy or answer, which is that man is created as pure and clean, as a blank page. Nothing's written on it. But as he or she grows, then they have the motivation to do good and evil. Motivation is instilled in us. إِنَّا هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. The fujur and the taqwa. Two opposite things that we already have. We have the motivation to do good and have the motivation to do evil. It is then the environment that we live in that shapes us in a way that is more evil or more good. فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها. The Quran talks about fitra, the inner nature. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us with these two motivations, and it's up to us to follow one of the two, evil or good. And that's the concept of mujahada in Islam, that we have to, struggle against our own evil, to control it. وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. So sociologists and psychologists also talked about the environment, which is part of this process. That a person may grow up in an evil environment that makes him evil, or makes his evil much greater than his good. Or the environment actually can help him grow his good much better or much bigger than his evil. And I just want to share with you two psychologist experiments. One of them is known as Stanford experiment. University of Stanford, in the basement of Stanford, actually one of the professors there, he decided to conduct an experiment. He asked for volunteers. They'll get paid. So volunteers came to be part of this experiment, and he used the basement of Stanford University to do this experiment, and he divided these volunteers into two groups. One group are the prisoner, and others are the inmate, prison guards, and imprisoned people. And he told them that you have to practice as if you are in real prison guards and inmates. And this experiment should continue for or last for 2 weeks. And you have full authority. Nobody will intervene, no matter what. And he left them. And before the end of the 2 weeks, actually, he had to stop the experiment, because he noticed that the guards started using their absolute authority, and this actually affected the other guards. And they start abusing the inmates. And this happened so quickly. So he had to stop the experiment, and the conclusion was that when people are given absolute authority, most probably they will abuse it. No checks and balances, no responsibility or accountability. And here in America we say absolute power leads to absolute corruption. And it's absolutely true. When you give someone absolute power, he will have absolute corruption. It's not just small corruption, because nobody will just ask him or dare to criticize him. Like the case was like Syria. We'll talk about Syria in particular because it was just a recent event. You cannot dare to criticize. Not only that, some of the horrors that we heard is that they forced inmates, prisoners, is to say La ilaha, who's your Rabb. You have to say the name of the president. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. If you are found praying, there are cameras. If you're praying, then you'll be called and they will just be beaten to death. If you ask for water or for food, that's a good reason for them to beat someone and kill him. You don't ask, you don't dare to ask, just you eat when we feed you. So this experiment actually shows that people can be as vicious as like animals when they have absolute authority. And this is exactly what happened. This is Sidnaya prison and many other prisons, but this was the most famous one. They have 3 floors under the ground. And imagine, underground. And small cells. Someone said that they don't know day and night, don't know what season or in, or what month. They were sitting in darkness all the time. So why do these people feel guilty? No, they don't feel guilty. They don't feel guilty. Another important experiment happened. It's called Stanley milligram. Stanley milligram basically is another experiment in which they ask volunteers. By the professor, there's a professor and actor, the other side. So, and the volunteer would come, sit, and the professor would convince him or her that we are doing a very important experiment, and we need to register the results. So they are asked to increase the electrical shock to the one in the other side. So the person is sitting here and they ask him to increase the voltage. And the other guy, who's an actor actually, screams. And then the volunteer will say, Professor is in pain. He says, no, don't worry, we have everything in control. So increase from 30 to 45 voltage. They keep increasing, and the other guys keep, I'm dying, please stop, I'm in pain. And most of the volunteers actually, they listened or obeyed the authority of this professor who was conducting the experiment at the expense of the pain of the person, the other side. The scary result the scary result of this experiment also is that people are most probably would follow the orders that comes from higher authority. And they feel, you know what, we're obeying the orders, or fulfilling the orders, following orders. This is exactly what all Nazis actually in the court, they said we were following orders. We are soldiers, we have to do what we're ordered to do. Very few said, no, I cannot be part of this anymore. I have to leave. I cannot cause such pain to an innocent person. For whatever reason, no, I cannot stand this. Some did this. But the majority kept increasing the voltage, and the person was screaming on the other side, and he pretended that he died. But they were thinking that we are listening or obeying the authority. Which actually brings us to the important conclusion that the environment in which we live can make a big difference. We are responsible to struggle against our own evil, because we have some evil inside us. Nobody is perfect, no one is an angel. If we don't resist, this evil can grow and continue to grow, and then can justify anything. If you feel you have envy, you envy others, you have to treat this. Just remove this envy from your heart. Otherwise, it will consume you. You will get out of control. And this can cause people to kill and steal and to do so many terrible crimes. That's why the first son of Adam killed his brother. He killed his own brother, Qabil and Habil. Because he's so envious and jealous of him, and he killed his own brother. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that we are ready to do good and to do evil. And we are responsible to monitor ourselves, to see what kind of behavior we have or we do. And we have to identify the evil part of who we are, the dark part, as some also psychologists call it. The dark part is there. Try to open it up, shed some light on it. Be honest with yourself. Tell yourself, I have this problem, jealousy or envy or arrogance. They always think everybody is below me. I'm in the top of the world. I speak always negatively about others. So I have to stop this. You have to stop this because you know it's wrong. You know it's evil. You know it's bad. Allah told us. And if you ignore it, you are responsible for that. It will continue to grow, and then it will reach the point where you cannot control it anymore. ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها. Those who control their ego, their selfishness, their evil, then they will be successful. And those who fail to resist this evil will be the greatest losers. I want to ask, don't these people think about death? Don't they think about meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Don't they think about the consequences of what they're doing? No, they don't. And not only that, some of them, they feel that they are doing a great service to their country. They are torturing and killing people for good reason, because these people, they have been indoctrinated that these people are the enemies, they are terrorists, they want to destroy our country, and therefore torturing them is like ibadah, yani it's a good thing. You are doing good service to your country. Of course, they try to convince themselves, again, for them to continue doing what they are doing. نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. Rasulullah used to start his speech with this. نعوذ بالله, we seek Allah's refuge from the evil of ourselves and our bad deeds. May Allah help us to overcome and to be able to control and have the upper hand on our own evil, so we can control it and never allow it to control us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم، وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. عباد الله، اتقوا الله وأطيعوه، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم إنا نسألك رزقا طيبا وعملا متقبلا. اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا، وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا، وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي إليها معادنا. اللهم اجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير، واجعل الموت راحة لنا من كل شر. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث، أصلح لنا يا رب شأننا كله. اللهم أصلح لنا شأننا كله ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين ولا إلى أحد من الناس يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا ورزقا واسعا وشفاء من كل داء، ونسألك الغنى عن الناس يا رب العالمين. اللهم يسر لنا كل أمر عسير، واشرح لنا صدورنا ويسر لنا أمورنا. اللهم رد الفتن عنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين. اللهم انصر دينك وكتابك وعبادك الصالحين. اللهم انصر من نصر دينك واجعلنا منهم، واخذل من خذل دينك ولا تجعلنا منهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.